Disposable income is what people have left to spend after paying their taxes and their bills. Put simply, it's about how many pounds they have left in their pockets. Now, we've analysed ONS data, and it reveals that the average Scottish household now has less disposable income in real terms than they did in 2007. People in Scotland are worse off than when John Swinney and the SNP came to power. He must surely be ashamed of that fact.
First Minister.
Senator, before I answer Mr Findlay's question, can I express my horror at the attack on a synagogue in Manchester this morning? This attack came on Yom Kippur, the holiest time in the Jewish calendar, and my thoughts are with the victims, their families and all of the Jewish communities in Scotland and across the United Kingdom. I record our thanks and appreciation to the emergency services and the first responders for the speed of their response. Anti-Semitism is an evil we must confront and stand resolutely against, and I know that the whole Chamber speaks with one voice on this important question. I acknowledge the pressures that families face in household income. That's why, for example, at the start of September, the Scottish Government took another step to try to assist families by abolishing peak rail fares for good, which means that, for example, a commuter from Glasgow to Edinburgh will save of the order of in excess of £12 a day in relation to their travel. Just one of the examples of how the Scottish Government is trying to support the household incomes of individuals. Of course, one of the reasons why our economy has struggled since 2000 in recent years is because of the effect of Brexit. Brexit has made every single one of us poorer, and the responsibility for that is the Conservative Government that delivered the Brexit that they did.
Russell Findlay.
SNP tax rises mean that most Scots now pay more than people doing the same job in the rest of the UK. And Scottish workers fear being hit yet again by Labour. Rachel Reeves has been asked to rule out tax rises.
And she won't.
She was asked at least 10 times, but she refuses to do so. People in Scotland, we know, already have fewer pounds in their pockets. They can't afford ever-increasing taxation. Labour won't be upfront about tax rises, so will the SNP.
Let's hear Mr Findlay.
Will John Swinney rule out any tax rises for workers in Scotland in his next budget?
Yes.
First Minister.
As part of my public duty, I must correct what Mr Findlay has said. And Mr Findlay was wrong, because over half of taxpayers in Scotland continue to pay less tax than if they lived elsewhere in the United Kingdom. Now, I know that it is important that we all speak accurately to Parliament. It's a duty.
Let's hear the First Minister.
It's a duty I faithfully deploy.
Colleagues, let's hear one another.
It's a duty I faithfully deploy, and I'll also point it out where Mr Findlay misleads Parliament with incorrect information as well. So,
Thank you.
Mr Findlay knows full well.
We are not having pointing and shouting from our seats. First Minister, continue.
Mr Findlay knows full well that the Government will set out its tax plans in the budget in an orderly and rational fashion, and as a consequence of that, Parliament will be able to scrutinise the Government's financial provisions. But I reiterate the point I have just made. Over half of taxpayers in Scotland continue to pay less than if they lived elsewhere in the United Kingdom, and I'm very proud of that fact.
Russell Findlay.
This First Minister leads a government that doesn't know the difference between fact and fiction. Workers in Scotland know exactly how much tax they are being forced to pay by the SNP. Now, the next Scottish budget must bring down costs for families and businesses, but it must also give greater opportunities for young people. the SNP have inflicted economic damage in Scotland by slashing college budgets. Audit Scotland have today revealed that the SNP have cut college funding by 20%, and that's in real terms since the last Holyrood election. SNP cuts mean fewer people going to college, learning new skills and advancing their careers. Reducing funding to college directly harms economic growth, which is something the SNP don't seem to understand. So will John Swinney commit to reversing this cut for the good of young Scots and for the good of Scotland's economy?
First Minister.
Well, the first thing I would say is that as a consequence of the government's investment and the approach that we take in the education system, 93% of school leavers leave school and go into a positive destination such as work, training.
Let's hear the First Minister.
Such as work, training or further study, including attendance at our colleges. Now, in the last Funding Council allocations, they provided a 2.6% increase in teaching funding for 25-26 and an increase of almost 5% in capital maintenance funding to help colleges further invest in the learning experience of students. So this government is absolutely committed to ensuring that we invest in our college sector to support students to move on to positive destinations. And of course, the challenges that we face in the management of the public finances have not in any way been helped by the austerity of the Conservatives and the folly of the Liz Truss budget, which Russell Findlay supported.
Russell Findlay.
He always comes unstuck when he comes face to face with the facts produced by Audit Scotland. Cutting college funding limits opportunities for young people and it harms our economy. The SNP's chaotic and irresponsible approach means there's less money for schools, hospitals, roads and everything else that needs to be fixed. Public services keep declining, yet taxes, household bills and everyday costs continue to rise. It's a fact, whether John Swinney likes it or not, that people in Scotland are worse off after 18 years of the SNP. Now, in the upcoming Labour and SNP budgets, workers could face a double whammy of taxes. Is this all John Swinney has to offer Scotland? Higher bills and worse public services?